All right, so I redone my tier list for 2025 of all the teams. Um, I'm gonna go over how I reordered them. I did this video once and then decided I did not want to upload it. So this is like me kind of just re-recording it after the changes. So I'm just gonna break down why each team is where they are. Like things to note of that team, things to just like look at, and just like my overall thoughts on why that team is there and their like for some teams like their peak, floor, whatever. Okay, so S plus, these are by far the top three teams in the game. I it's not even close. EDG, um, from what I know, their last series at Bangkok was atrocious. EDG concerns me at like in China, from the few games that I've seen, they looked really weird, really puggy, like just not great. But they really impressed me from what little I've seen in Bangkok. But I think for sure EDG is a top three team in the game. G2, I fully believe should have won Bangkok. And T1 did win Bangkok. Buzz Stacks, this is their first event. I'm super happy for them after being like quote unquote notorious chokers for DRX. That whole core of like RB, Zest, Buzz, Stacks, obviously, um, Mako. I think I just listed the whole roster. I might be wrong. I might be missing a player. I probably am, truly. But that core, always making internationals and always being favorites and always choking. And I'm so happy for those two to finally like break that curse. Meteor is like honestly on trajectory to be like called the best player in the game of all time. He was made 3 out of 4 international grand finals back to back. Second place, Madrid, won Shanghai, got grouped in champions, and just won another event. So, like, Meteor definitely is up there. Um, Izu is one of my rookies of all time. I think he was a really good looking rookie with what he was playing last season, with like Omen Rays, some Sentinel. But now that he's finally been like just shoved on a roll, playing Scan Initiator on double initiator maps. Second, like he's playing Yoru on Pearl. I think another map he's playing Duelist. Not important though. But just like now that Izu's somewhat more comfortable, he's playing Sentinel, Gecko, Sova, just whatever, really. He's kind of like the fill for the team. I think it's really impressive to still look like one of the better players in the event. I think I was looking at something on Twitter that the VCT posted, and it was like he was like top three or something throughout the entire event of like impact or something. I'm not sure, but these, in my opinion, are top three. I feel like you could somewhat reorder them. I think these two are kind of like one and two for sure. I think if you put T1 first, then you can kind of flip these two. But I think this is the most proper way to order them. Not just because that's how they ended up, but like just because that's how they really are, in my opinion. I think these two are kind of interchangeable though. Um, another player I forgot to mention on T1 is Sylvan looks pretty good. He has some really good rounds and then looks fine throughout the rest of the game. Like he's just a good controller. I mean, he's not a flashy controller like you think of like Marved, Psalm. I'm trying to think of more flashy controllers. Karen, like that type of. He's not one of those. He's someone who's just gonna get consistent value, and then occasionally he's just gonna take over a round or two, and them out. All right, moving on to the S tier. These are teams who can win events. Sentinels, DRX, Vitality, Liquid, all look really good for their own reasons. I think they all have their own unique approaches to the meta. I say that, but I think Vitality have a really cool Abyss playing Silver Breach Teo. It's like Astro Chat, I think. Liquid, I'm really impressed by Liquid. I mean, I liked how their roster was built. I did not think they were going to be this good. My I had a really big concern of not IGLing. and I really don't anymore. I think this team is built to win in the future, not now. I think this Liquid roster is something to keep an eye out for, like, next year, maybe. Like, I think this Liquid team is kind of like DRX of last year, signing Bane and Flashback. That's kind of how I view Liquid. Because they signed Super Sub Patatek, they signed Fanatics X Sub Kamek, who came in for, I believe, Alfier. Played like a series, did whatever. Camo looked really impressive on Koi. Keeping Nats and role switching Kiko to controller. And of course, when a duelist player becomes the best controller player in the region, that's going to make you just feel so much better as a team. Vitality, less Durka, added on top of a core. You're moving the best duelist player in the game to IGL and playing 4 different roles. And what? Omen, Jet, ISO, Teo, Vise. Like, Safe is literally playing every role, granted like 1 agent each, but still. He looks really good. Uh, from what I've seen, they look good culling wise. They look fine at least. It's not like they're gonna call any masterclass rounds, or whatever. Like, that's not what you're expecting from this team. You're expecting this team to just own everyone as a quote unquote super team. And I mean, I think you're kind of getting that. My biggest concern is they don't have a controller player. So Kix is playing Omen on some maps. It's Haven and Lotus. Safe is playing Omen on a map. I don't know which one. I cannot think of it. On Fracture, and I'm missing a map. Fracture and Abyss. Les is playing controller, playing Brim and Astra. Trex is playing Brim on Bind. But yeah. Vitality are unironically playing 4 players on controller and Durka Permaduelist. DRX, I do think, were the best team at implementing Teo Breach. I think they were the first, and I think they were the best with Teo Breach. And I do think Sentinels also looked really good with it. G2, I think, just took what DRX were cooking, fully just leaned into it, and looked so solid with it. And then they also had their own ideas. Pearl and Abyss with the Chamber. I think G2 have the best Pearl in the game. It looks really cool. Like, I love the Vise Chamber. I've honestly stole it for team play. Like, I plan on playing it for the foreseeable future until one of Teo or Vise or Breach. No. I'm thinking of the wrong map. I'm actually tweaking out. Until Chamber or Vise are nerfed. I think that comp is super sick. So that's me going over the S and S plus tier teams. I think all of these teams are, like, they have the capabilities of winning an event. A tier teams are teams that either choked or have really high potential. Loud honestly could have made it through the upper bracket into not Shanghai, Bangkok. Sorry, they looked really good. Cowan's, like, honestly, all of their players are shooting. Maybe not Vinny, I believe is their IGL. Yeah, I think Rafa is on Fury. I don't fully remember, but I believe it's Vinny. But the other core 4, Pancada, Tuiz, Kawanzin, and oh yeah, DG Zen. This is a really big year for DG Zen, getting cut from Fury like last minute for LCQ first year franchising 2023 to now. Like, he looks so good. Like, I'm so impressed with DG Zen. Like, he looks just as good. Like, DG Zen was another Brazilian duelist who impressed me a lot on his time on Furia. He also really impressed me on his chamber of, like, using chamber trip aggressively rather than passively to hold information. He would throw it like almost like a Skydog. Or like a Sky Flash. Like, you throw it in hookah and it, like, scans anyone in there, you take it back. I think it was either split or bind where he showed that, and I was so impressed with that, and like it's something that I think is definitely like not a lot of people were doing that on Sentinel at the time, and it's something that I honestly like using on like KJ or Chamber. It's a really cool idea. It's a great way to supplement like not having an initiator alive or like whatever. 100 Thieves. Xander looks really good. I think like I don't know if this is true or not. Like obviously I don't have access to 100 Thieves comms past if they have videos up or not. I don't know if they do or not. But like with EG winning their champs run, I never really like thought the Boostio was that great of a color. I think like my thought process, like my theory is that like he relied a lot on Potter to like do a lot of prep work and stuff for him, and he was just like doing some mid rounding. Like again, I don't know if this is true or not. This is just like a theory I have. Like Potter was doing a lot of the work, so that was a big concern I had with the 100 Thieves last year, signing Busio, Bang, EU on top of like just on top of the Cryo and Austin Core. But I mean, I'm I think Xander coming in, he's a proven IGL for version 1 and a good co-IGL from I believe MAD. Either way, I think like bringing in Xander is similar in firepower but raises the calling, which was a concern of mine. So I think 100 Thieves are a team I have a lot of expectations for this year, especially if Cryo can still perform on that Demon 1 role of playing Smoke slash Op, like Smoke slash Jet. Um, Cryo does. I mean, I'm really impressed with Cryo's role swap. I was not expecting him to look great on this 100 Thieves roster after 2023. Kind of getting forced onto like whatever was available. Just playing like Sage on Split and just like a bunch of weird roles. But he's definitely become a lot more flexible and like with learning controller, I think Asuna and Ray's Neon makes a lot of sense. A few concerns I have with 100 Thieves though is like, will they be able to implement Yoru efficiently, given that it's become the meta? Like, some things that aren't too crazy, but I mean, like, could limit them for sure. When you look at someone like Durka, who can play all 4 dive duelists, King as well, Jet, Raze, Neon, and Yoru, it's like, if Waylay is like actually really important to learn like which one of Cryo or Asuna will play it. It's just like concerns like that is my main concern with 100 Thieves. I'm not that worried about it though, so I mean it should be fine. I mean losing Bang is a little bit of firepower loss, but I would not be too worried about it. The Strays team, they flopped internationally. I'm just gonna be so honest. They didn't look great. They kind of got rolled by both G2 and T1. However, I still think that they are leagues ahead in China. I think they kind of have the opposite of EDG, where they look really good in China, probably better nationally. Although their champs run did really impress me, so I was excited to see them make a back-to-back event. I was expecting more from them than they gave, but Trace is a team to look out for in China, for sure. But, I mean, they lost to Liquid looking like one of the best teams in Europe Valorant history. Like a top 5 team of all of Valorant history. Like this form. Leviathan. Good players. They cut in the tank. They're bringing in supposedly Rossi. I don't know if that's confirmed or not. I don't think it is yet. Rossi's a good addition. Scan Initiator, I believe, should be the role. No, obviously not Scan Initiator. He's playing Flex. He looked really good on T1 last year as the Flex player. Unlucky that T1's going full Korean. I mean, obviously it worked out, but unlucky for Rossi. Rossi was a really good teammate from what I could tell. Alright, this Talon roster. Minus Ban, minus Gov. I don't like that. I watched the podcast that Frost had over that. They're bringing in Kaluva and Thai. I think is how you pronounce his name. I don't know anything about these players. I don't know the roles that the team's gonna have. I'm concerned for the longevity of this team. Not longevity, but like roles are a big concern. Like they're speaking full time now though. It's something that I learned that they're doing. I don't know. I'm interested yet nervous for this talent team. That's my main takeaway. Uh, I don't know if Premi's now on full duel list or what, but definitely keep an eye on Talon. I think they have really high highs. Wolves, 100% choked. They definitely should have made it to Bangkok. I think what I said in my first recording of this is they don't really have experienced players other than Lysor for the expectations of being number 1, 2, or like 3 within the region. And I think that got to them, which caused them to lose their first series. And then, like, if you're losing your first series, which is a lot closer than people gave it out to be, like, I think it was like a 60-40 for them. And then you're like, oh shit, like, yo, we have to make a full lower bracket run. You're just like so much pressure on yourself. And then you just lose to Nova, who I do think is a really legit team. Like, Nova is so underrated. And I mean, they didn't do a great job of showing that, but for like if you actually watch Nova play, they are so sick. Alright, next team. Carmine Corps. They're really good individuals. Obvious looks really good. Sadek obviously has led teams to victory before. Martin looks like a really good dive duelist. I'm really impressed by him. I think he's really like a really good form player. I think he's kind of comparable to Second to me. He loses points for not being as flexible, if my memory serves me right, knowing that Zekin can play full flex and not just main duelist, but not important really. Suigetsu roll swap to controller, looks pretty good. Elite on Sentinel, looks pretty good. Flexible, he immediately learned Vise. I mean, Carmine Corps have some really cool ideas. Aang is the coach, the same coach that led Gambit to their Masters 3 win. Alright. I mean, I think KC, they did get first rounded, but I would have a lot of, like, really keep your eyes on this team. This team looks really innovative and looks really sick. Like, I don't think they're getting first rounded level again. Even though they did win a series, which I think is crazy, but moving on. Fnatic, Kayak, I said this before. I think he will be an icy type of situation. Rookie player coming in for a big name team. Gonna start slow, gonna progressively heat up. I do see a lot of potential for Kayak. I expect him to stay in the team going into next year. Crashies is still expected to play with the team over Leo for stage 1. I mean, Crashies, I'm pretty, from what I can tell, good teammate still. Just not the best player in the game, fragging levels that you get with Leo. This BBL team, I don't know how they got to the consensus of the G2 Pro Comp. I don't know if they created it. I don't know if they stole it from G2, from Scrim somehow, or what. But this BBL team looks pretty good. Definitely an underdog team. I was not expecting them to do as good as they did. But, I mean, shout out to Yampi for sure. He looks really good. They have a lot of really good individuals. Loon looks really good. Social B looks good on, I believe, the Chamber for the Chamber Vise comp on Pro. Yeah, definitely keep your eyes out on BBL. This Na'Vi team, they signed Hero as the sub of Fnatic last year. Hero to Na'Vi as a Sentinel. Ruxic or Ruxic, however you pronounce it, from Fireflux, I believe. He looked really good. I think he was duelist or flex for that team. Now he's playing permanent controller. He looks really good. He kind of reminds me of Kiko on Liquid, going from whatever role Ruxic used to play to now permanently on controller. He might have honestly played controller before. I think I'm wrong about that though. I truly don't know what role Ruxic played before. But going on controller, he looks really sick. His utility looks fine, but he himself is just shooting well. Shao is playing main initiator, and Angel's playing flex initiator, with Koala Noob playing primary duelist. He's playing like Sage on Lotus or something, if I remember correctly. Cool ideas for this Navi team. Good players. Could make international. I don't expect them to though. That's kind of what this tier is. This B tier is kind of like teams who can make international. Anyway, this Furia team. I was thinking of the acronym FUR, not acronym, but like the abbreviation. I think this team has really high potential and more options than like it looks like. So they have Havoc going to permanent or primary duelist now. They have Heat playing Sentinel on the team, and MW0 playing Scan Initiator. I think it's Rafa IGLing from Flex, and I don't remember their controller. Oh, it's Khalil. Khalil looks really stagnant on controller. I mean, that's whatever. He's fine. Heat on Sentinel. His aim is good. I don't think that's the role that he belongs on, though. I would much rather see different roles, but I mean, if Havoc is able to heat up and become one of the best aimers in the game, if Khalil somehow just turns into like a super fragger again, like he did in 2023, and honestly, like 2020, like early Furia, when he had QCK next to it, play like those two were flexing Sentinel and controller, I think that's when Khalil looked really good. Like they were playing, like they would just switch back and forth on each map, and that was in my opinion like where Khalil really shined. And he looked really stagnant on only Sentinel, but I'm not sure yet. Like I see a lot of potential with this team, but they definitely did not show it. But also, I will give them the benefit of the doubt, seeing that they had visa issues, so they're playing without a lot of practice recently. Like as of the kickoff, so they had essentially the YFP team stand in for them, with some other players who like wouldn't be crazy to see in that team. And then they finally get into Americas, are able to play, and then just kind of lose out. But I mean, that's to be expected if you have no practice. They played against, I think, Leviathan, and then I don't remember who eliminated them. But they went out in like 3 series. I mean, all right, Paper X. Heavy underperformed for what they were expecting to do. I think they got second rounded. Rumors circulating that Jing is going to get cut for a Philippines player, or he at least plays for a Philippines Oregon Nows. I believe is how you pronounce that team's name. I don't think this team needs player changes. I think what they need is a role swap. My best thing that I could give to them is have something play some sort of mix between Sentinel and Scan Initiator, and have Forsaken play, say, like Cypher Vise, and then like Flex Initiator, and like Devi on Scan Initiator, and something play like Chamber KJ. So like Chamber is obviously just something that would make sense for him to learn, if not play. And then KJ, like just like a opping KJ like CNET or Boostio, not VCNET, or just like EG Boostio. Both like break winners of the op in those cases. Mind Freak obviously on controller. And then Jing playing like main duelist or something. Like I think there's a lot of ways that this Paper X team can handle roles, but I think what I suggested, it makes the most sense, having Devi and Forsaken playing initiators. So with something playing Sentinel, unless it's a Cypher map where, say, Forsaken would play the Cypher, or with the upcoming meta of Vise. And then in that map, you would have Devi playing Lex Initiator, and something on scan initiator. Since for something can play, I believe, Silva, he can play Fade, and he can play Gecko. So I think something like that makes sense for Paper X with Jing playing main duelist, so like Jet Rays, Phoenix, whatever. Okay, moving on to Nova. This team looks really good. They won the event after kickoff in China. It's an off-season event technically, but it contains every single team in China playing, and then they came first out of that. Granted, Trace and EDG had academy teams, but still, all 12 Chinese teams are playing, and Nova won. And they did it with a sub in place of their duelist player Swirl. I don't like Swirl is okay. I don't think it makes sense for the like. I don't know. Either way, they look fine. Their Sentinel player Guan or Guanji, I don't know which way it's pronounced, but they look really good. He looks really good. I mean, their other players look good. Azir also looks really sick. So like when you have your best shooting players on controller and Sentinel respectively, I mean that's just really impressive. Duelist player is fine. Swirl. I don't remember. It's what? Oh, is it Obone? No, Obone's like the sub. CB is their quote unquote flex player. Yeah, and then Obone's a sub with uh yeah, as the IGL. And this guy looks really good as well. Like I mean all of them play well. They have really good individuals for a Chinese team. Because most Chinese teams like have one good player. Like not to call out JDG, but I mean like historically it's like yes, Swirl's really good, but I mean what about the other players? I mean not Swirl's just really good, or like Dragon Ranger Gaming, it's like T Virus Luke and Vukushu are both really good, but where's the backup? Kind of the same thing with Trace, but not really. I mean, you guys get the idea that I'm trying to throw out here. This Nongshim Red Force team, previously Simpira, looks fine. I did not watch them play, but they looked fine. Nothing too nuts that I can take away from them really. I think the removal of Neon from the meta kind of hurt them. So the main things that I've heard. Giants X team kind of underperformed. I mean they did fine. I think they beat KC. I don't know. I think they upset KC and then lost to BBL or Liquid or something. I think they lost to Liquid and like fine. I'm not worried about the GX team. I think they'll be fine throughout the year. Definitely a mid-table team. Moving on to crew. I want to try to speed up. I don't want this to be another 45-minute long video, but it looks like it might be. Crew look fine. Nothing really too crazy to say. Shy still looks insane. Ever since he was on Leviathan in 2022, I've just had my eyes out on him. He's so good. Like, I think truly Shy is one of the most underrated players in all of Americas. I don't think he's super team caliber, but I think like for any team should be looking at him. So Leviathan during the chamber meta, he was, I want to say, one of the best fades in the game. Like, unironically. Like at that time, I do think that he was one of the best fades in the game. Like he looks really good on it. He was shooting pretty well, and his utility usage was just superb. Just off of my memory, 2022, 2023, I think he got signed to Crew as Sentinel. And looked good. I think he got replaced. Who did he replace by Leviathan? I cannot think about that at this moment. But I do know that Shy has been really impressive for his entire run. I'm trying to think who else is on this crew roster. Mizzino, coming off of a really good season last year for Leviathan, now back home in crew. Kesnet, fine. Nothing really impressive. Not. I mean, Kesnet's just fine. I think he's heavy overrated. I'm not saying he's bad, but I don't think he's as good as people make him out to be. Um, I think he can have really good series, but I don't think like game to game he's that great. Like as people make him out to be. Like I think he's I think Digizine and like Heat are better duelists than Ketsnet. Like I think he's fine. Like don't get me wrong. Like if Kesnet's your duelist, like you're not going to be complaining about having an awful duelist. Like there's definitely been worse duelist players in the VCT than Kesnet for sure, but like there's also been significantly better duelist players than Kesnet. Um, like I'm not hating on Kesnet. I just don't think he's as good as people make him out to be. I do think he's overrated. I Again, I don't want people to get this confused. I do not think he is bad. I think he is overrated. Like I think people are rating him like top 5 duelists when I think he's like a top 10 duelist. Um, and then I mean Meltzer looks really good for being a support player. He's shown that he can IGL team like the team if needed. A lot of respect for that. And when he's not, he just looks good on controller. He's kind of an underrated controller player. I don't think he's like insane, but I definitely think he's underrated. I think like I think this team has a lot of good individuals. Adverso coming in IGLing the team, I believe. It's nice for them to have another set IGL since Melser or not Melser, Klaus left or got cut or whatever happened with him. Losing Heat is unlucky for this team, but I mean, that's fine. Like the team looks decent, a lot of good individuals. It's just kind of a matter of like, can they convert as a 5? Moving on to this FPX team, they cut Lysor, I believe. Lysor got cut and did not leave. And then they brought in Yosemite. Yosemite is a really big name in China. I mean, he was a part of the team that upset the NRG 2023 team. Granted, that team was already falling apart, and then that, to just add on to it, just was a massive concern. However, they kind of, like, shockingly did not do that great. If I'm not mistaken, I think they placed 5th, 6th, or 4th. I think 5th, 6th is the same ranking. It's just a matter of like which, like the higher or the lower one that you lost. But this FPX team has really good firepower. It's just a matter, can they convert? Autumn looks really good on Sentinel. Life is one of the best duelists in China. If not, no, I can't make the argument that he is the best duelist in China anymore. Flex player Berlin. Oh shit, I forgot Berlin's stepping down from this team. That's massive concern, actually. I honestly forgot about that. I need to move this team down now. This team looks to be kind of imploding. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I forgot they're signing a new IGL in Shrimp with a 1. I mean, they have really good individuals, but I mean, if you're IGL stepping down mid-season, that's just the cause for concern. This is the second change that they've made since the offseason. Like, this team, don't get me wrong, I thought this FPX team was a top 5 team in the world during Master Shanghai. Like, they honestly should have beat Heretics. I believe it was Heretics with Woot on Duelist dropping 37 on Icebox and like a 15-17. Yeah, that sounds right in my head. I do not think that the FPX team should have made changes after Champions. I do understand why you cut Lysor in order to get Yosemite. For sure an upgrade because Lysor was consistently like towards the bottom. But I mean, Lysor is also really flexible, playing controller and Sentinel both really well. I mean, I don't think you can make a change that quickly and expect to do well. I mean, after them being a top 5 team in Shanghai, they choked in Champions. Well, I mean, can you really consider it a choke when you have Team Heretics, the second best team in the game at that point in time, the Madrid winners, and then the second place and first place team of the internationals prior? Like, Jesus Christ, what are you meant to do as the fourth best team in that group? You're gonna go out into. They did honestly have a chance of making a run versus Sentinels, but Sentinels honestly upset them and then beat Shinji. So, all right, moving on. Back now, we have Energy. This Energy team, they cut Verno, and Bonkar is no longer with the team. I don't know if Bonkar got cut or Bonkar left. That has not been clear. I'm not going to say one way or the other. I'm going to guess, though, that he left. And then they're bringing in Mike CHD as the head coach, which makes sense given that he was at some point with the Envy team with Finesse, which means he has some sort of history with the team. So that can only be a good thing. That's probably a Finesse-led move. And then Brock, who was previously teammates with Mata, which seems like a Mata-led move. This team looks like it's going to be more cohesive as a 5. Or 6, truly. As both people coming into the team have history with the team, and or at least a player, in some sense. So this leads me to believe that they should be more cohesive. But I don't know if it's enough. I think Finesse is honestly retiring this season. And, like, he's just going to have such a bad name. Like, such a bad rep to his name. For how good of an IGL he really is. It was. Like, it's kind of concerning. I do think that a change seemed necessary, but I don't know. It's a rough situation to be in, for sure, if you're Energy in that situation. But I think this team could make it international. I think you kind of have to hope for champions through being top 2. It's really hard, though. I don't know if they can do that. They might have to hope to make Toronto through being number 3rd. Through 3rd. Not number 3rd, sorry. I don't know. This is rough. This is really rough for Energy. I don't know. The C9 team, though, I think they've shown that they have potential. Net, I'm really glad to see in tier 1 still. Really good Sentinel. His deadlock usage was really good. Zeppa looked in just god form unbeatable. I don't know if it was the whole event or just versus Energy, but I mean, C9 kind of got owned by G2, like as expected, and then lost to, I think, MIBR. So, I mean, that's all fine and dandy. But they looked really, I will give them this for sure. They looked super good with the Teo. I also, like, I don't know, there was a lot of drama associated with them early on. So, I mean, I definitely wanted to place them lower. Like, I placed them top of C, I think. Just because, like, I knew I should have placed them bottom B, but I mean, just, like, it's so concerning. They did play better than I was expecting for all the drama surrounding them. Alright. I'm gonna try to speedrun the rest of this. So, EG. I had much higher expectations. They kind of look not together as a team for some reason. I don't know why that would be the case. I'm not really sure. I think this team has a really high. They are C, like top of C tier though, because they did not look good at all. They looked really good during the offseason. Cut Sim, brought in Icy. I don't know what went wrong. I think Ye honestly had a lot higher expectations than he ended up performing to. I don't know. There's definite concerns for the team, but they seem interested in like testing out new stuff, and they don't seem scared to test stuff and try stuff out. RRQ, honestly, I don't think I watched them play a single round. They, I think, went out in 1, or not went out in 1. I think they went out in 2, got first rounded. That's what I meant to say. I mean, nothing really to say about them. I think they're just kind of mid-table team as always in Pacific. DFM, they upset Paper X and I think then lost the very next round. Um, May probably still looking really good, really impressive player. Um, I would have liked to see Cess play. I don't think he is playing with them anymore. I think he is kind of just a sub. That's not what I want. Oh fuck. Uh, yeah, Cess didn't play, but I mean, this team overall looks much better than it did before, with pretty much just May and friends. I think the last roster had a lot more names. I'm kind of disappointed to see Cess go though. I think Cess had shown potential. All right, Boom Esports. I was honestly really impressed with them. I wouldn't be too surprised. Honestly, no. I'm gonna place them higher. I'm gonna place them here. I think this team has potential to be a B tier team. They took T1. Like they honestly could have beat T1. I being so sincere when I say that. When they played them, they looked really good. I don't know what happened their second series. I think they lost to Nongshim. Probably nervous and just so on. Uh, versus Nongshim, obviously losing Ascension to them, and then well, no more bleed, so they get the Ascension slot, being second place. All right, is it a division? I was expecting more from them, but I mean, also Nongshim is just a really good team, so losing to them is fine. And then they lost to Paper Rex, so I mean that's fine. Uh, they lost to two pretty good teams. Uh, Zeta are fine. I think this team has a lot of upset potential. Truly, CLZ looks good. Soeta, I believe is the Sentinel player's name. Looks good. Dep Sugar Zero, obviously good. And XDLL has previous experience with the team. They look decent. Red Bull home ground, I believe. Uh, Moving on. Secret. I'm pretty sure they underperformed from my expectations. They kind of just look stagnant. I don't know. I don't know how this team went from looking like they should have made champs to bottom of Pacific, but I mean, I hope to see them recover, seeing as they have been really good in like international or ILs, I guess, where just all the teams play each other. They looked really good in those stages, upsetting, I believe, favorites twice in Paper X, DRX, or Genji. Something along the lines of that. BLG, they look much better than I was expecting in China. They're like a top four team in China. Uh, Global esports are fine. I mean, deep down, we all knew that they were going to be fine, but they look better than they did last year, which is interesting judging by their roster last year was kind of stacked, like low key. But I think they had too many callers and not enough. Like they had a lot of like game sense points, but not enough mechanic points, if that makes sense. Koi look okay. I think I watched them play Liquid. I'm not sure. I really don't remember who is even on this roster. I just remember them being like whatever. I mean, they're just it's Koi. I mean, what do you expect at this point? Uh, DRG. I think they're making changes. They looked fine though. I think they placed like fifth, sixth. Gilai placed dead last, but didn't look awful. I'm pretty sure. Or no, they definitely could not have placed the bust. Yeah, they could have. Weird format. I think Gilai also looked fine. Uh, wouldn't be too worried about them. I know Gilai lost early in China, I believe. Uh, Moving on. Apex. Floor looks really good. Their flex player looks really good on Yoru. And then their other three players are kind of more proven tier 2 players that have a lot of experience. Gentlemates, they 13-4 to Heretics, which is a good sign. And the individuals on MAD, or Gentlemates, not MAD rather, look really good. Honestly, I'm going to do this. No, I'm going to put them higher. I think this team is heavy underrated. JDG, Stu looks really good. Baby Blue, I believe is the skin initiator, looks like surprisingly good. I don't remember who else is on the team. Uh, Unlucky, I guess. Um, Two game. Um, they have decent individuals. I'm excited for Spike to come back to this team, but without Spike, they are in this tier for a reason. They truly are a tier 2 team, and I've not shown otherwise. All gamers, I don't think there's a team that I know less about than all gamers. Tai Lu is not far off. I honestly don't think I could name a play. I think Spitfire is the only player who I can name out of these two rosters, if I'm being honest. And Tech have RB and How Long and Coach After from previously EDG, and somehow managed to look awful. They were like first rounded, I believe, even though they won a series. I don't know. I think I definitely underrated Loud. I was expecting Loud to be much worse than they were. Furia, I think, due to unfortunate circumstances, I overrated, but I don't think it's their fault or my fault. I think it's just unlucky that they kind of got messed over. This NRG team being S tier is definitely unlucky. Paper Rex, I don't think are out of title contention until they choke Toronto. And like convincingly choke Toronto. Like if they barely, like if they're fourth place team, then there's no cause for concern in my eyes. However, knowing that Jing is going to get cut for a tier 2 APAC player is cause for concern in my eyes. This Fnatic team and this KC team, I think also both have potential to make it up into this A/S tier team region. I think A tier up can lift the trophy, or it's just the top 3 team in the game. I do expect to see another team from down here come up. Trace is the only team from Bangkok to not be a A tier plus team. Just because I think they're good in China, but definitely flopped when it came to international. Alright, I'm going to end this video before it becomes an hour long. I definitely was not expecting to do so much recording. I was expecting this to be kind of quick and easy, but it is what it is. But yeah, this is my updated tier list going into stage 1. I do feel like there's going to be some stuff I get wrong here. Let me know in the comments how you guys feel about this tier list. Or like join the Discord server. It's in the description of the video. Talk to me there in general. Follow me on X, or Twitter, whichever one you want to call it. I post my thoughts on roster moves or agent changes, whatever. And then subscribe, like, share. Also, follow me on Twitch. I try to be more active on Twitch, but you know, it is what it is. I also go live on YouTube using Restream with both platforms at the same time. And then I use, like, I can see both chats at the same time. So don't feel like it's better to, like, watch me on Twitch if you're more comfortable using YouTube or vice versa. Like, just watch me on whatever you're more comfortable on. Other than that, peace out, guys. Hope to see you guys in another video later.